Welcome back. It's Popeye from MilkTeaTime for localizers. So, as part of our mission to bridge cultural gaps between people's understanding and the cultural factors that truly represent specific area, we try our best to bring you guys the most authentic voices from the localizers by asking them what decisions should be made when a product is localized into specific locale. And today, we're honored to have our guest speaker, Eda, to talk about her experience in the Turkish market as a localization manager. Welcome, Eda.
Thank you, Popeye. It's nice to be back.
Yep. So, in the last episode, we had a great discussion about different questions, and we had a very excellent overview into the Turkish market. Now, here comes one more question, but I really love this one in person. Well, as a gay localizer, I think I am going to put great emphasis on the gay issue and the gay products and how to make a great combination between gay pride issue and the product localization. So we also found something during the time we spent on the research for today's interview. Turkey has held a gay pride parade in 2003. Wow. Do you think this has had some impactful effects on localization in Turkey?
I'm sure it has because we have an LGBT community in Turkey, but they are neglected, and I think they are going through some difficult times when compared to like Western companies or America. So having this kind of gay parade, I think they kind of have their voice being heard, or like they can be more visible when we have gay parades like that. So in terms of localization, having content towards LGBT community, like it will add importance to those contents, and by localizing those kind of contents into Turkish also will give them more importance, and also there will be chance to cultural exchange, like to keep up with what's going on in the world, like what's the current agenda in the world, and also it will create a connection with the rest of the world. So I think the gay parade in 2003 is important in those aspects and in terms of localization, because what I see localization as a communication. So having these communications throughout the world, like we have the same communication with the world, is important.
Wow. So you mean ever since 2003, it's just like a start of a journey to introduce like the gay pride stuff into Turkey?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we have still a long way to go, but having those kind of events, I think this will kind of mark their points in the history, and we can work starting from that point to reach to the point that we want to go. So now companies, when they are trying to localize some gay accessories, so I think having those kind of events will mark its mark in the history, and we can reach the point that we want to go. So right now, when companies deciding which LGBT community products going to market in Turkey, is just they are kind of being sensitive and they don't want to be very in the public eye. But in fact, it's not very true. I mean, I know maybe from looking from the outside it seems not so, but when we have products towards LGBT community, they usually have a market in the Turkey, and nobody will be offended by that.
So that's great.
Yeah,
that's a very good progress.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have those actually, because it allows people to change their minds or maybe look from a different perspective. It helps.
Yeah. And by the way, never underestimate the economic power and benefits from the LGBT community.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely I agree. And I think they have the best taste.
Exactly. Yes. And like as far as I know, like in some countries, like more open countries, where they entitle people to have like more rights to fight for their sexual orientations. Yeah, especially in those areas, as far as we know, like any products to go with like gay sign or LGBT like colorful or the rainbow color flag will be very popular on the markets, and they're gonna bring the companies definitely lots of revenue.
I agree. I mean, it's lots of revenue, and also it's like having these colors all around. I think it gives people like joy, life energy, and I think it's very important to unite it with everyone.
Exactly. I think this how to say that expression. Two birds on one stone.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you do education and business.
Exactly. I mean, the LGBT people like being heard, and also companies can do their business. It's a win-win situation. Exactly.
Feel so proud.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
So after talking about a special trend in product localization, especially in the Turkish market, now we're going to take our question to a more specific level and to try to focus more on the Turkish localization. So maybe you can answer them based on your former experience.
Of course.
So the first question that I want to ask more specifically is about text expansion. As we know, for some languages or some locale, when we're localizing product into that market, we need to be mindful about the text expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, let's take Japanese or Chinese for example. Some text space will be taken away or be added to help the translation process to go more smoothly. So how much space did you have to leave to localize an English product into Turkish?
Okay, the golden rule of the 30% expansion space is usually works for Turkish, but sometimes we need more space because Turkish is longer than English usually. So because some of the concepts or ideas can be expressed very shortly in English, but in Turkish we need more words to express those. So having an expansion space is definitely a must in terms of localization. I mean, Turkish is a flexible language. Sometimes when we don't have space, we can be creative and find our ways to translate it. But it's better to have it's a safety check. So it's better to have the expansion. And in terms of alphabet, we use Latin alphabet, so we don't have this like Kirill alphabet or Japanese or Chinese alphabet. Like we don't have this. I think it's called width. The alphabets of the weight or weights of the words, when they are calculating the space. So we don't have that. Whatever works for English in terms of alphabet, it works in Turkish too. Yes.
Wow, very specific answer. And the second question that we came up with before the interview is the politeness and versus regularness.
Yes.
Let's take Japanese for example. Yeah, we have a very specific way to show our politeness to people that we're talking to who are older than you or who hold a hierarchical level, or position in company than yours. So I wonder if that also works in Turkish.
Yeah, we have a similar concept in Turkish as well. Like when we were talking our managers or with elderly people, we sometimes use the informal tone. But it's not like, you have to be very strict about it. It's just a kind of respect. It's out of respect. In terms of localization, we always use the informal tone when we were talking to a customer or a user, or if it's the UI of a product, it's always the informal tone. However, lately there are some marketing efforts, they tend to use colloquial language, and unless there's a specific instruction like this, like we like to use an informal tone for this product. Unless, of course, a product needs to be in a colloquial tone, like a movie or a marketing material, because those materials sometimes require the informal tone. You need to decide on your brand voice, tone of voice, and that's something that you also need to communicate with your linguists so that they can use the correct tone. So whether it's formal or informal depends on the context that you are using.
Interesting. Wow, there are really lots of factors to take into consideration, especially when we are trying to localize an item to a specific market. Yeah, you need to think about, text expansion, the tones you use with your language. What about dialects? Yeah, like, in many of the areas, I think, in the world, different languages are spoken, especially in one country. So sometimes I wonder, like, what kind of languages should be used when, or should be chosen when we decide to localize this item or this product. What about Turkey? How do you decide which language should be used? What about those dialects?
For Turkish, we have dialects, but it's not used in Turkey. So in Turkey, it's the official modern Turkey. So when deciding on which language to use, the decision already made. We use the modern Turkish. However, we have accents, like depending on the region, we have different accents, but this doesn't prevent people from understanding the official Turkish. And it's usually the same language, but they kind of use sometimes maybe different colloquial words or like a different pronunciation of the same word. So the official Turkish usually works in every region in Turkey. However, there are other dialects that's spoken in Turkey countries like Azerbaijani. However, this country, like this Azerbaijani Turkish, needs a additional localization effort because it's different from the Turkish we use. So, like as a very brief note, Turkish belong to the Ural-Altaic language family, which is in the same family with Hungarian, Finnish, and surprisingly Japanese. So. Usually in the Asia, people talk Turkic languages, but in terms of localization in Turkey, it's always the official Turkish, like the modern Turkish.
Oh, wow. But it's surprising to know that like people from different regions in Turkey are able to like understand each other despite, different accents.
Yeah, I mean the accents is like it's like the richness of the language. It's very interesting to go another region and see how people sound different there.
Yes.
But it's very easy to understand each other. So there is no very deep differences between the regions.
Wow, very interesting. Well, thank you very much today for the interview, and because we came up with several questions and we tried to understand more, and also we tried to help our audience to understand more about the Turkish market. And I think, well, we did a pretty good job today.
Thank you so much for offering me this chance to speak about Turkish as well. I really enjoyed talking to you. I mean, it's great. You are doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you. And by the way, before we, wrap up, I really want to say something. Like, as a localizer, we really think that most of the time we're like behind the scene and do the job as a bridge, like we discussed, to connect both parties.
Yes.
And to ensure that the final item could be represented culturally, well represented. But I really want our audience or people watching our videos to know that being a localizer is definitely not an easy job. It requires a lot of job and time to ensure everything goes correctly in the right position.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a challenge. I mean, being a localizer is a challenge, and you need to, think from very different angles. Every time you need to change your angle. Like, you don't have a, very fixed problem for every problem. When you faced with a problem, sometimes the answer is different. Sometimes same problem, but the answer is different. So you need to be, very open-minded to when you are when you are approaching to a problem.
Yes, exactly. But by the way, there's one more question that I want to ask, just out of my personal curiosity. So, do you ever feel, because as a Turkish localization manager, I believe based on what you have done before, it's just focusing on the language that you've been using for your entire life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but now you're currently in a multinational setting, multicultural setting.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you ever feel proud of being a localization manager who's promoting the language that you've been speaking for the whole life of yours. Do you ever feel proud of doing that, especially when you are in a multicultural setting now?
Of course, yeah. It's I mean, I really feel proud about that. I mean, I feel like it's a chance for me to talk about my language, the richness of my language, the creativity of my language, and also like I get the chance to compare my language with other languages as well. So I get to know other languages, and I can see the different aspects of every language. So it offers me a chance to, go in a deeper level. So I really like to be in this international environment. I mean, all of my life, all of my professional life, I've been in an international environment, of course, but I was focusing on Turkish. Right now, I'm focusing on like multi-language management and also like having these also having these in-person interactions with people from other countries, cultures, and languages. So it's very enriching experience to be here.
Wow. It's very inspiring to hear things like this. I believe like most of some people watching our videos are also going to be, or they are currently trained to be a localizer. I believe today's video is going to be very helpful for like some of us. Really thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It was nice.
So this is pretty much our episodes today, and if you need more like concrete idea about what Turkish market is about, okay, don't forget to you can just go back to the previous episode, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to Milk Tea for Localizer channels and hit your notification bell. We will see each other next time. Thank you. Yay! Today we are here to do a street interview about Singapore.
I get the impression that a lot of Singaporeans are bilingual. And
yeah, my ex-boyfriend, well, he is actually Japanese but born and raised in Singapore. That's how I know about the country. The country is really clean and people speak Chinese and English.
Unkos. Toriga unkos. I saw the voice. Wait, what was the question again?